If you would, let's say, decide I am going to collect secondary data because I would like to save time, then yes, for sure, on the front end. So this top curve is for the secondary data collection. Usually by week 4, you've probably done all the collecting of the data that you need, and then you're going to go through a very difficult time processing it. So you make gains quite early in the process, and you actually have all the data that you need, or most of it. But then the challenge becomes how you process it going forward, right? So this is what it is. So there's a benefit on the front end. And if you are somebody that gets very stressed towards the end of the process, then secondary data might be a good strategy for you, because it gives you more control over what happens at the tail end of the process, right? Then if you will collect primary data yourself, you are still going to go through some things. I think the testing of your, let's say, questionnaire is not going to be that difficult, or putting together questions that you're going to ask people. Once you've understood the theoretical angle, it's actually quite easy to put together a questionnaire for qualitative research. I always say to people, if you are really exploring a problem, probably you need something like, I don't know, 5 to 8 questions, not more. If you start to see yourself approach 10, you have too many questions. That's not going to allow you to have in-depth insights. So here, probably you get a delay of probably another 4 weeks before you have enough data. Then that leaves you really limited time to process it. That means that you're going to need some strategies of managing the shorter time window that you've got. With quantitative methods, let's say you decide to conduct a survey, then usually you have a different type of problem, because most of the work you do on the front end. So for example, designing that questionnaire, making sure that you have the right items to measure your constructs, testing that with respondents before you are able to send it out, waiting for people to respond, following up with those people. Then you finally get the data. But at least at this stage, you have a lot of black box tools that we actually use to try to be able to address whether the data we have is valid, whether we might have issues with things like multicollinearity. So do you have, for example, 2 variables that measure exactly the same thing? Because then